Listen, I've got a trade for you, and I'm going to tell you right now, I got a trade for you that I'm pretty sure Knick fans are going to resist. I might even offend my Knick brethren, but I'm going to drop that on you a little bit later because the Knicks need to do something.
Well,
they need to do something. We didn't talk Knicks yesterday,
No.
T, but we're talking Knicks a little bit later, as we'll to get into the Kyrie stuff. But
you didn't allow me to pick a team either.
Well, I don't know if that I'm going to let you.
Why?
Because me and Hoff were talking about this. Hoff, I got to be honest
if
with
I want
you.
to pick a team, I can pick a team, dude.
Okay, you're 45?
I'm 46.
What's taking you so long? I picked the team when I was 3. Mommy, Daddy, I like this team. This is the jersey I want from Santa.
Basketball was not my sport.
Basketball is my favorite sport.
I didn't like the way they dribbled up and down the court because I couldn't do it. I'd never played basketball. You know this.
Which is hysterical. And obviously from our days doing national, I would always joke, and I hope we can still joke around this way. I'm pretty sure we can. There were 2 African-American kids on the team. You and Rondé.
And we weren't.
And for some ridiculous reason, the coach cut both of you guys.
He did.
That guy should have been fired on the spot.
I think it was Coach Anderson. I can't remember now.
It doesn't matter what his name is. I would have taken his whistle. You cut those 2 kids?
It was the best thing that ever happened to us, BT,
That's
because
true.
we ended up wrestling instead. And so basketball, which didn't – I mean, there was no team in Virginia. Like, who was I going to be a fan of in Southwest Virginia?
The Washington Bullets at that point.
Yeah, but
now the Washington Wizards. You had some good
it
players back then, man.
So far away. Anyways, my point is, I've been in New York for 15. No, wait,
Much
how long
more
have I?
than 15 years.
23
years.
24 years I've been in New York.
And by the way, our audience will learn very quickly. I know more things about you in terms of chronology and years.
Yeah, because that's
I know more about your life than you do.
Yeah, I got hit a lot when I was playing. At the end
so that's why we put it on the turf a few times early?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I got hit a whole lot. I thought, for a second we were talking about
busted up the rest of the league.
Just to make I'm getting on tangents here, but yesterday we were talking about Curtis Martin and who was better. You put that out to Dove and to Hoffman on the other side of the glass.
Who was better, Tiki or Curtis?
Tiki or Curtis.
Yes.
And so it made me look up Curtis's stats. And he had an unbelievable career.
He did.
1,000 yards every single year, basically. He led the league once in rushing. And so I clicked over to the fumbles. I was like, let me look how many Man, he had 23 fumbles. That's a lot of fumbles.
Wait a second. Wait, it's bad enough that we're trying to let New York know that you and Eli are cool. Now you're going to start a little beef with Curtis saying you put the ball in the turf too much.
Hold on. 29 fumbles.
Take it easy, buddy.
I was like, man, 29 fumbles. That's a lot. I was like, wait, let me look and see how many I had. You know how many I had?
Let me guess. 33?
53.
Yeesh, it would have cut your ass. This guy sucks,
fumbles,
man.
dude.
Second round pick on this scrub?
I had a couple seasons where I had 9.
And then, you know what? You went from that to one of the best we've ever had.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
1 year, 2005, which was my best year. I only had 1 fumble.
What was the most you've ever had in a season?
9.
Oh, it was 9.
I did
Okay,
that
gotcha.
twice. And then 8 another season.
But not 9 lost, just 9 put on the turf. You didn't lose it 9 times.
I think it was 9 on the turf. I didn't look at lost, but I thought Curtis had a lot at 29.
Dude, I would have fumbled the moment. I would have fumbled the moment one of those monsters looked at me. Like I don't know how you guys do it. Like Boomer just walked in our studio. You guys are a different
Boomer's
breed,
a different breed.
Players.
Boomer is a different breed because Boomer is of that era when everybody was massive, right? You see, if you LT, who we know, he's huge. Harry Carson, huge
monster.
Right? These guys are just
Joe Klecko.
They're just massive men. The quarterbacks were massive men. Boomer looks like a defensive end.
Yeah, he is a big dude, Boomer.
Right?
He really is a big dude.
He played quarterback.
I know.
Right now we think of quarterbacks as these small, like Baker Mayfield types like we were watching last night.
He was horrendous.
That's why Big Ben is such a throwback. Obviously the Monday night game last night, the Browns lose to the Steelers, BT, and Tomlin, again, guarantees himself a non-losing season.
Yeah, and it's true, and it's on his record, and Mike Tomlin's been a hell of a coach. But I'm getting a little tired of just leaning on it. Never had a losing. I'm not saying you fired the guy. The guy's really good.
I'm not leaning on it, BT. I'm just saying it's a fact.
That's true. It's an irrefutable fact. I agree. So we'll do that Knicks stuff a little later. We'll get into the Kyrie Irving stuff.
I'm picking a team.
He gets ready to return to the Nets tomorrow. But, I still think there's a lot of residue on this Giants conversation from yesterday. Obviously, we'll get calls, 877-337-6666. And as you can imagine, Joe Judge was asked about his ridiculous, delusional comments about the amazing awesome culture of the moribund New York Giants? And it was a great question. I've got the transcript right here. The question was this: were yesterday's comments intended for the fans, the Giants administration? Great question.
Yeah.
The media, anybody in particular? And here's his answer. He says, I was asked a specific question about who the fans and what they were asking, and I responded to it. People ask me a direct question, I give direct answers. He also uses the word ain't and drops in some curses more than he ever did, but I get it. He's going for effect. Whoever's listening is going to get a dose of the truth, and I was honestly answering the question to the fans. That's what the question was asked for, but obviously the response can apply to a number of different areas. Now, I want to say, you know the old Pink Floyd video, We Don't Need No. You know that song. Please tell me you know that song.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, God, okay.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you guys will very quickly learn there's a monster gap. There is a gap the size of Tiki's athletic talent compared to mine. There's a similar gap compared to the music that...
Pop culture.
Well, yeah, I guess all that stuff. What you like, what I like. Pink Floyd, who I love. And by the way, I saw him in concert. In San Fran. It was actually just Roger Waters, which basically is Pink Floyd. It was sick. Anyway, that video, they have the kids, and they're like going through the meat grinder, right? And I have referenced that song on occasion when I try to establish a mindset for people who are no longer pursuing independent thought, okay?
Expound, please.
I know it sounds like a very strange,
dude, you're getting deep, man.
Strange entry into
We're not
what
even
this guy's
8 minutes
trying
into
to
the
say.
show, and you're getting deep.
That's right. Well, listen, I'm a deep guy. I think that when you look at the Giant fan right now, the easiest thing to do is to grab a pitchfork and scream and reach for the vitriolic takes. And I'm not saying that they're without merit.
Yeah.
The Giants are a dumpster fire right now. The Giants are a disaster. And I can't wait to get John Mara on the show because I've got, and I'll certainly treat him with respect, but I mean, John Mara's got some real questions to answer. That goes without saying. But separating Mara and Gettleman and the quarterback for that, just looking at Joe Judge, can I ask you?
Well, you're going to. So
of course
I
am, rhetorically. Can I ask you, what the hell did fans expect when he took over for the Shermer regime, for the McAdoo, circus? This guy introduced himself on Zoom. And I just feel like a lot of the circumstances of his arrival, and more specifically where the Giants were before he took over, beyond moribund, beyond helpless, just destitute and bereft of talent and plan, what was the expectation for Joe Judge?
Yeah, so I think that's the question that we as fans want to elevate, meaning we want to make the expectation much higher than it probably should have been. Now, I'll go back to what I said yesterday. And I think a lot of people have said this. When you have a new coach and you're trying to build a new culture, you always want to see results. Like you need to see progress. You need to see something positive happen after a determined amount of time, usually a year and a half, whatever it may be. Right? Yesterday we referenced Coach Coughlin. Tom, who came in, was a hard ass. It was needed. He had to weed out, or weed is the wrong word, but you know what I mean, get rid of some of the pieces that weren't going to suit what he was trying to do. It took a year. We were tough. We were bad. And then the next year we won 11 games, right? And so it's like, man, we saw that the results start to pay off pretty quickly. The difference between what Coach Coughlin had to come in and, I'll put it in quotes, fix, and what Joe Judge had to come in and fix is that 2 years prior to Coughlin, we were one of the best teams in the NFC. Remember, we lost the game to the San Francisco 49ers in the wild card.
That was the game that Shockey dropped the touchdown, threw ice on the fan, and, of course, the ridiculous Trey Junkin play.
Yeah, exactly. But 2 years prior to Coughlin coming in, the Giants were really damn good.
That's right.
We were really good. We couldn't lose until we blew a, whatever it was, 24-point lead to the San Francisco 49ers. And then the following year, which was Fossil's last in 2003, it was just disappointing. It was like a letdown season based on what happened the year before. That proverbial hangover, it happened. And then Coughlin came in, and it was a reset, and then he got good again. But it wasn't a decade almost of bad football.
This is such an important point that you're making right here.
It wasn't a decade. It was like a year and a half
Yep.
of bad football that Coughlin was able to turn around and fix, and then ultimately he won 2 Super Bowls, and we know where his career is headed as a Hall of Fame coach, type of head coach. Joe Judge had dysfunction in the locker room. He had discontent amongst the players.
Yep.
He had
a dearth of talent.
He had to remake the staff, and we assumed that because he was a Belichick disciple, that he was all of a sudden going to raise the expectation, and they're going to win 10 games in 2 years, and before you know it, they're going to compete in the NFC East and then in the playoffs, and here we go, right? It just doesn't happen that quickly, especially when there's so much to be done. But the problem is, and this is what fans are saying, it's been so long since the Giants were relevant.
True.
And especially come postseason time, that your urgency gets sped up. It just is what it is, right? The Giants aren't used to being bad, right? There's not a history.
Well, they're getting
of it.
used to it.
There's an older history, a 70s history, but there's not a recent history of the Giants being, God, we stink for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
And more specifically, there's no history of the Giants being dysfunctional.
Yes.
And that's what really they become.
That's right. So that's where
most distressing.
And that's where the frustration comes from.
Oh, I get the frustration.
As a fan, you got to lash out. And you're like, all right, the quarterback sucks. Our O-line sucks. You know what? The coach sucks. And you know what? The hell? Let's throw John Mara in there as well. He stinks as well. Right?
He deserves it, T.
But my point is,
Mara's been bad last couple of years.
Everybody is a target when you've been this bad for this long. And so I think some people want to say, well, they're taking personal shots at everybody. No, you're just taking shots, hoping that somebody
just to feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, I get that. I understand that. You know how many years I was right, as we all were, complaining, oh, fire this guy, the Knicks, in terms of the Knicks.
Yeah.
Because the Knicks, in a lot of ways, mirrored, although without the championships, at least the Giants have a championship.
That's right.
You know, multiple championships this century. The Knicks haven't won a championship since the year I was born. So there's less tolerance, and because there's less belief that they will figure it out.
Yes.
Because there's no recent evidence that they would. So you're basically leaning on hope, and after a while, hope just dries up. But whether you bring in Fisher or Hornacek, it doesn't matter. You know, as the Knicks tried, and you know, it didn't go anywhere because nothing really changed organizationally. The same people, Steve Mills, et cetera, were running the show, and that's why I am a big proponent of bringing in an outside voice to be the general manager. This is not Kevin. This is not anti-Kevin Abrams.
Well,
but I just you need a different voice because the voices in that franchise have gotten stale.
Yeah,
they just have.
And I think. I forgot who I was asked. I was doing an interview regarding this, like what the Giants should do. You know, what should John Mara do? And part of it was bringing in an outside voice. But to me, I looked at it from a business standpoint. Like if you're a business that's multi-billion, as we know the NFL is, and you're looking to figure out the best way to find success, go look at the teams that have found success. And while it's on the field, a copycat league, why can't it be a copycat league, you know, off the field, in the front office? Find the best practices of what's working other places and copy them.
Sure.
Like, blatantly copy them.
And then maybe attach your own originality to it, but take the template.
That's right.
Yeah, no, with that.
And so
that's fine.
what we're seeing are these not necessarily general managers coming from the outside, but they're consultants. They're guys that have an
just don't call Charlie Casserly like the Jets did.
No, not Casserly.
I can't stand these stupid firms.
But like John Dorsey,
call up this
but
guy.
Think about
Get out of here.
John
Shut
Dorsey
up.
is a perfect example. John Dorsey, who helped rebuild the Cleveland Browns, and now he just did the Detroit Lions.
I like Dorsey.
Right? What's the
Chiefs?
guy?
I like Dorsey.
Yeah, Chiefs with the Chiefs
I like
as well.
Dorsey.
This is the guy with the Buccaneers. Tom Moore. Like he's a special assistant down there. Tom Moore. He's been around forever, right? But he knows the league in a larger sense, as opposed to just the myopic one in which the Giants are finding themselves in. And so when you're asking questions and it's bouncing off the small chamber, like it's just back and forth, small chamber, like it stays the same. The conversation always stays the same.
I agree with you.
And so if you expand it and you just put a different opinion out there, make that chamber get a little bit wider, maybe some new ideas happen on how to build a staff, how to scout players, how to construct a roster. And so I 100% agree with you. The question is identifying who that person is, and that's what the Giants need to do. I don't know if they're planning on doing this or if this
doesn't seem like they are.
But that's what they need to do.
I'm with you.
Even if they don't hire someone from outside, even if Kevin Abrams becomes the general manager, you got to get some different voices and listen to them. Right? You might not agree. You might not agree with him, but you got to listen to him.
Listen, this is – I hope the Giants are hearing this. 877-337-6666. And I'll give you an example. Think about the volatile times we're in now politically, right?
Yeah.
You walk into –
Do we have to?
No, trust me. I'm not going there. But I'm just saying, say you're sitting around – say you're sitting around a fire having a couple of drinks, and there's 10 people there, and there's 10 Republicans. And just say if you're a Republican, right? Mm-hmm. There's going to be one tone to the conversation because everybody's going to be free to exchange what they –
It's an echo chamber.
And exactly. And conversely, if you're at the same fire pit, or I should say a different fire pit with 10 Democrats, it's going to be the same gripes against the Republicans. There will be no new exchanging of ideas.
Yeah.
And you go nowhere. You just go in circles, and it's the same rhetoric. It's the same pissed-off mentality. It's the same treadmill that does not lead you to progress.
Yes.
They need to bring in that different voice. And by the way, let me tell you something right now. The easiest thing, you're different. You played. I'm never going to pretend. Oh, I know. No, I didn't play. But the easiest thing for me to do, Teak, would be to get on day 2 here at WFAN and join the fans and be like, yeah, fire that guy. Daniel Jones sucks. Joe Judge is awful. Fire him. No, that's the easy thing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the easy thing is the right thing. But in this instance, I don't believe that it is.
Yeah.
I also believe that doing counter to what the majority of Giant fans seem to want, the Giants are going to have to, be able to withstand some serious PR backlash. But I've got our producer, Hoff, telling me all morning and yesterday and all week leading up to the show, oh, you got to get rid of the coach. You got to get rid of the quarterback. Hoff, let me ask you a question. Even if you're right, who are you bringing in as the coach? See, this is the problem. If you want to get rid of somebody, what's the solution? Who are you bringing in?
As your coach-wise, there's nobody coach-wise that I really feel comfortable. If you're going to bring in a new GM, I really do think that you got to give him one more year. The quarterback's got to go. The quarterback has to go. I think there's plenty of options out there.
Okay, but then do what? This is the famous Amy Trask.
Amy Trask always. And do what? Exactly.
And then do what?
Because not enough people finish that sentence. And do what?
I mean, listen, I would take a low-end draft pick and waste.
Wait. Low-end meaning like 5th, 6th round?
Yeah. Why not?
You're just throwing a dart. That's ridiculous. That's not going to work. Stop.
You can't bring Daniel Jones back for another year. If you're Joe Judge,
he's under contract. You can.
Exactly.
Well, okay, but how about this? Joe Judge, if he's going to risk his final year as a coach of the Giants, Daniel Jones' injury issues, it's career-threatening. He may not last 8 games.
They were better with Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
At least they had a chance to win with Daniel Jones. Listen, what was that week 2, the Washington game?
Yes.
The Thursday night game. That play that was called offsides on the field goal when Washington missed the first one. They got the extra 5 yards. They banged it home. Giants lost at the gun. The Giants, now, Washington's not a team that you measure yourself against at this point. They're not. I think they'd be better.
Well, we will next weekend.
That's true. That's a game they should have won. I mean, you had at least a modicum of a chance with Daniel Jones, with Mike Lennon. You may as well not even leave the freaking tunnel.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? Let's bring in a certifiably decent backup quarterback next season. I mean, what's that about?
The plan is that you got to keep Jones healthy.
Well, keep him healthy.
You
got to keep him healthy. Look, this offseason is going to be so critical for the New York Giants and what they plan to do roster-wise, particularly at quarterback, whether it's keeping with Daniel Jones or there's going to be options, right? There's going to be a lot of options. Whether it's Deshaun Watson, down in Houston, that situation gets sorted out. Whether it's Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers.
I've got a wild card for you that I'm going to give you coming up next. I got a wild card quarterback for you.
There's a bunch that can change the situation that the Giants are in.
We're going to get to that coming up. 877-337-6666. Hey, listen, the easiest thing would be to roll with you. Get rid of Judge. He's terrible. He might not ultimately be the answer. I'll give you that. But I believe he deserves another shot. And if you don't, what's the solution? Just don't say fire Joe. Anybody could say that. Any mindless dolt can say on Twitter, fire Joe. Dove, are you pointing at Hoff? He's not a mindless dolt yet, is he? No, he's not. I would bring him back. 877-337-6666. And then when you determine what you're going to do with the head coach, you've got to make a determination on the quarterback, and we'll get more deeply into that. Coming up next, your calls straight ahead. Tiki and Tierney here on The Fan.